Hello everyone, this is me Simran Anand, and today I'm going to explain a LeetCode problem which is based on two sum. So I'm going to show the demo of the code as well, and also going to explain the approach behind it and the various approaches you can use to solve this particular problem, which is two sum problem. So I hope my screen is visible. So to some problem here, first I'm going to read the problem statement. It says, given an array of integers, nums, and an integer target, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to the target. So here the question says that we have an array, integer array, which is nums, and an integer target. They both are of one is of array data type and the other is of integer data type. So we have to return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to the target. Target is one integer, and we have to not return the two integers which sum up to the target, but rather the indexes of the two integers or two particular numbers which add up to that particular integer, the target integer. So you may assume that each input would have exactly one solution and you may not use the same element twice. You can return the answer in any order. So the answer can be anything. It can be either it can be, so for example here the output is 0 1. The answer can be 1 comma 0 as well. So the order need not matter here. We basically have to return the two indices which are going to sum up to the particular target. The two indices of the numbers which actually give us a sum as the target. So let's jump to this approach. First, we can see for the approach, I'm just going to open my uh, paint here. So to make it easy, we are given an integer. So for example, take integer array, which is 2, 7, 11, and 15. So these are the four integers which are present in the int array, and the target is 9. So we know that what are the two numbers which are going to sum up and give us 9. Obviously, we can say that by trial and error method or brute force method, if you say. First approach, which I'm saying, is the brute force method. If you just keep on adding each and every pair of number, you're going to check if that sum of the two numbers in the pair equals 9. So as you can see, 2 and 11 does not give 9, neither does 2 and 15, and nor 11 and 15. So we can see that 2 and 7 are the only two numbers which sum up to give 9. So finally, we can say that the index of 2, which is 0, we know that indices in Java, they start from 0. So here it is 0 and the index of 7 is 1. So we know that 0 and 1 should be returned, and it can return 1 and 0 as well as the answer. So this is finally one approach. So when I say brute force approach, what was I using? We are given an array and we are running a for loop here basically. We're going to run a for loop, and then inside the for loop, we're going to use counter variables I and j. So I starts from the starting of the number and j can be the second number. Then so it starts from I plus 1. So we can do that way and check that if the two adjacent numbers are going to give us the sum as 9 or not. But to do that, can always adjacent numbers be like that? It's not always so. First, we need to sort this array. So if we sort the array, we know that sorting of an array takes order of log n time. So when we sort the array, we're going to get all the numbers in ascending order or descending order. And for doing that, after doing the sorting of the array using arrays.sort method or any of the sort. So if I use arrays.sort method here, it's going to return me the numbers in ascending order. So it's already in ascending order, you can see here. So obviously the adjacent number, the sum of the two adjacent numbers which sum up to give 9 is what is the answer. So the first approach is an array approach. And let me change the color here. The first approach is the array approach, and the second approach which you can follow is the using the hash map. The first thing which comes in your mind is a hash set and a hash map, which are hash data structures, and they can be used here. Hash table can be used here because we know that in a hash table each number and integer is mapped it's stored as key value pairs. So the integers which are as keys, they are mapped to their particular indexes, which are their values. So key value pair exists in a hash map. So for doing that, let me just make a map here. So in particular, this is a map. And in that, I have the numbers, which are 2, 7, 11, and 15 here. So we know that what are the two number which are the two numbers which are going to give us the sum as 9. So for doing that, first we need to identify one particular number. For example, if it is 2 here, then we can say that once we take every number. So we make a for loop here and iterate through this particular map. So when we take a for loop and iterate through this particular map, we find that first when we start with 2, 2 plus n, it does target number, which is 9, minus 2, which is 7, exists in the particular hash map or hash set or not. So if we see that 9 minus 2 exists in the hash map, yes, it does exist, 7. So we can say that 2 and 7 are the actual answers, which are going to return us the sum which is going to return us 9. So the indexes of those two particular integers should be returned. So for example, if we start, had it not been 2 here, it had just been 7 here, then and 2 would be somewhere in up. So when we do that without first of all sorting it, if had it been like not in this order, if it would like be like instead of 2 over here, it would be 7, 11, 15, and then 2. Then it will take a lot, or it will take time, comparatively higher time, and then you have to start with 7. So if you start with 7, instead of checking adjacent number of 11, 15, and then go to 2, to reduce the time, you're using a hash map here, because it's going to just check if the map over here, the data structure with a hash map here, is going to contain a number which is 9 minus 7. So yes, 9 minus 7 is present somewhere in the map. Need not be just adjacent to 7, but it's present somewhere in the hash map, in the top of it, in the middle. So yes, we can conclude that 0 and 1 are the indexes which should be returned, because 2 and 7 are the two numbers which are summing up to 9. So to sum up, I can say that the approaches used can be brute force approach and a hash map, and the optimal approach of course would be the hash map. Hash map will take order of n time. So we know that inserting, deleting takes everything, it takes order of n time complexity is order of n if using a hash map. And in fact, inserting in a hash map and searching lookup time reduces in a hash map. So that's why it's only just order of 1. But then if you consider n elements, then yes, it would be multiplied by n, and space would be order of n, complexity. Space complete order of n. But if you are using the brute force approach, which I was talking about earlier, but just using an array instead of a map, then I can say that you have to traverse the array from the starting to the end. So it's going to take order of n. And if you're using two counters, instead of, you can use I only, and then like I over here, and then I plus 1 instead of using I and j. If you use two for loops, it's going to be a bad complex. It's going to be a lot of higher time complexity, which is order of n square. So to reduce order of n square, it's going to be order of n. If you're going to use a single for loop with only one single variable, counter variable, which is I, so that's going to be order of n. So hope you have understood the two approaches. And then after these two approaches, I'm going to show you the code. I'll just reduce this window. So this, I have submitted this, and depending on all these submissions, the best one which is going to give me and the most concise answer which I felt that you could understand is front of you here. So as you can see here, this is one solution, the brute force I was talking about. Here, first you're going to initialize, you're going to declare an array in array ans is equal to new int of size 2. As we are given in the question that there is an array of integers which is of size, which is of any size which is given to you. But then the final array, the indices you need to return should be the indices array. Finally, you're going to return the indices. And those indices should be returned, the two indices should be returned as a pair or as an array. So here I want to return those two indices as an array, and that integer array I have named it as ans. So int array ans is equal to new int 2. For int I equal to 0, I have used here for loop. As you can see, there are two for loops here. So of course, the time complexity is going to increase in the brute force approach. So the brute force approach will say order of n square time. It will take order of n square time complexity, because you can see here there are two for loops. As you know that one for loop will take order of n, because there are n elements to traverse. Nums is the number, is the integer array which we are given in the question. And ans array, do not confuse between ans array and nums array. Nums array is the one which is given in the question, whereas ans array is the array which is only of size 2, and that will contain the two indices values which are going to, of those numbers which are going to sum up to the target number. So as you can see, nums dot length or the given array dot length, that is of n length. N is the length of nums array, because that will contain n elements. So to traverse in one for loop, it is going to take order of n. So that will be multiplied to again with n, because there is another for loop which is nested in the for, and then it's going to take order of n square. So as I was saying, you're going to run the two counters I and j. I, which starts from the first number of the integer array, which is 0, and then the second place or the adjacent, that is the second position of the numbers in the number array, that is going to be your j counter, which you're going to initialize with I plus 1. So when you run this for loops, then if nums at I plus nums at j equal to target, this is basically you're going to check if the sum of the two numbers which are present at indexes I and j are going to return target or not. If they equal to target, then yes, you have found the two indices, correct indices. So those indices you're going to, they are of course I and j. So I and j should be stored in the answer variable, and to store it in answer variable, it's not a hash map that you can use add function here, or it's not such dynamic like list, array list, where you can use dot add here, so dot append here. So this is Java, so you would not be using dot add here. If you were using array list, then you could have used list dot add of I comma j. But then this is array. An array, is basically array does not have dynamic memory location. It is fixed. It's a data type. Its array is a data structure, basically, which contains elements of the same data type and is also of the fixed data size. So if you are declaring it with size 2, is going to be of size 2 only. It is of fixed size. It cannot be dynamically allocated memory like an array list. You could have used array list also here. I could show you that approach as well. So if you used array list, it should have been, the syntax. It has to be array list, integer, list is equal to new array list, and then the size here 2. So even though if you have declared or not declared any size of the array list, you can still add and append elements to the array list by saying that list dot add of I comma j. That would do. But here I have used answer array to make it simpler, and that is a basic brute force approach which I'm showing you here. So that is of size 2. So in order to assign I and j to store that in the answer array, I'm going to put ans at 0 equal to I and ans at 1 equal to j. Then finally I'm going to return ans. Ans is the final array of integer indexes which are going to be returned. So finally, this is the output you're going to get. So I will just run this code as well front of you. That is going to be like one more clarity to you as to how much time it is taking. Although I've checked many solutions and different approaches, and I found that this is the most easiest for me to express. You can see here, this is accepted, and the output here is 0, 1, expected 0, 1. Also, our program can also have returned 1, 0 as the output, and that is completely acceptable because order does not matter here in the question. So this is the correct output we got, and yeah, runtime is 0 millisecond, and this is the final solution. Coming to the next optimized approach which I felt, that is using a hash map. So a hash map, as I've explained you, it contains key value pairs. So as you can see here, int array result, as I've declared there as an answer array to store the indices. Here also I'm using int array result, and result is a single 1D array which is going to store just the indexes of two numbers. So that is of size 2 I have declared here. And then map, I'm using hash map here. So I've used map, integer map is equal to new hash map, integer. This is the syntax of a hash map to use into our code. Then I've used a single for loop here, and then inside that I've used a if statement. So if you instead of taking order of n square time complexity as I was using in the brute force approach, the name approach, which had two for loops and then was using I and j counters, and it was using an array only. In fact, I did not use any particular data structure, but here you can see how data structures are helping us to optimize the problem, so that when I say optimize, it means the time complexity is going to be reduced. You have to focus on that the time complexity is reduced, because an optimal solution to a problem is the one which reduces the time. And also, of course, the space also has to be reduced. But I feel that a hash map, it significantly decreases the time complexity, and every data structure has its own pros and cons, so it's up to you completely which one you have to use. But keep in mind the time complexity should be reduced in every optimal solution. So if you use a hash map, in fact it's very much used for lookup problems. So whenever there is a question which asks us to search or to check for something like especially deals with numbers, or it can deal with also character, there are character hash maps also. But if you want to deal with the existence, you have to look up and you have to search for a particular item in data structure, or you want to check if a particular pair of that, if the corresponding key value pair, in a key value pair, if the corresponding value is present or is mapping to the key or not. For that kind of examples, I would say a hash map is recommendable. So in this two sum questions, indeed a very famous question, like a variant of two sum, which I'll be explaining later, is a three sum question. So three sum question, for that also you can use a hash map, and there are different other approaches also, of course. Like for a three sum, you can use dynamic programming. There are different optimal approaches, but two sum approach is a very famous question and a very basic one to start with, I felt. So I feel that a hash map, telling you about how to use a hash map in this question will make you understand as to what is the exact requirement a hash map is used and not. So as you can see here, single for loop is used, starts the counter I equal to 0. I is less than numbers dot length. Numbers is the given integer array numbers we have, then I plus plus. Here we're going to check if map dot contains key. So basically we're going to check the existence of a key. As I said, whenever you have a particular value, you're going to check if the corresponding key is present or not, or you have the target given here in this case. So basically target minus numbers at I, since you're traversing the array from I equal to 0 to numbers dot length, you already are traversing, and numbers at I will be the first element of the integer array, because you're starting from 0 here. So that is going to be the first element. So you're going to check if target, which was 9 in our case, in the first example I showed. So you're going to check 9 minus numbers at I, which was 2 in our case. So 9 minus 2, the number is 7. So you're going to check if 7 is that element is present in this map or not. So you're going to check if map contains that key, which is 7 or not, because the value of 7 is going to be the index of 7, which is 1. But you're going to check if the key is present. So you're going to check the existence of not the value in the hash map, but you're going to check the existence of the keys in the hash map. So for doing that, we have this beautiful method which is contains key. So remember this method, if map dot contains key, in case of a hash set, if I would have used hash set also here, and I've solved the few problems using a hash set. So if I used a hash set here, it would have just been contains. But since I used a hash map, there are slight differences you have to follow. So if map dot contains key, target minus numbers at I, if yes, so in our case it was a yes. So result, you have found two indexes, and that particular index is I. First of all, numbers at I, which is I is 1 here because it's 7. 7, the index of 7 is 1, and the index of 2 was 0. So result at 1 is I, and result at 0 is equal to, instead of putting it as I, J here, because we do not have two counters, you're going to write map dot get of target minus numbers at I. Now, this is one more important method you have to learn. Basically, in a hash map and a array list, I definitely feel that a hash set, hash map, and an array list, they all come under the collections framework in Java. So in collections framework, you have to make note of few very important methods like get. What is the purpose of get? The map.get or the list.get method that help us to access elements. So whenever it's like in Python also, you would have heard that. I'm just making it little analogous to you so that you can relate to different programming languages. So in Python, you can, instead of get, if you want to access something, you have slice methods there. You have data slicing in Python, wherein you have to check for the access, in order to access particular elements in Python list. And similarly, on the same lines in Java, you have the get method. So if there is map.get of target minus numbers at I, you are going to get the index. You're going to get the value and not the key here. So contains key was giving us checking if the key is present or not. But here map.get is going to return the value. Value over here is going to be in the index of the particular element. So result is 0 is equal to map.get of target minus numbers at I. Target minus numbers at I is 9 minus numbers at I. Now what is numbers at I? Numbers at I was since it was starting from 0, it is 2 in our case. So target 9 minus 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. So map.get of 7. Now what is map.get of particular element give us? It's going to not give us the element, but map.get of 7 is going to return the index of 7, the index value of 7, and the index value of 7 was 1 in our case. So result is 0 is equal to map.get of target minus numbers at I. Now target minus numbers at I is 1 here. So result at 0 is going to be 1. Now as I told you, order does not matter. Here it is returning 1 comma 0. It need not matter because the answer is correct. The answer can be 0 comma 1 or 1 comma 0 as well. So result at 1, we're going to we have stored the I value which was 0 in the first place, and 1 which is in the within the first place, and we have placed 0 in the second place. So return result. Now result is the array, is the 1D array which is containing the pair of the indexes, the pair of the indices of those numbers which are summing up to the target. So that is going to be returned here, and that make sure it is returned inside the for loop only. As you can see here, it's returned inside the for loop, and then coming out of inside the if loop. Inside the if loop, and after coming out of the if loop, then you have to map.put. This is another function for hash map. You have to remember, basically get, put, and contains for the hash set, but contains key for the hash map, and get and put are the very important methods. So get is basically for getting the index value, basically the value for a particular key, and put is for placing, like I have told you, array list, it says dot add, hash set is dot add. But if you want to store elements, if you want to put elements into the particular data structure, insert elements. But to insert elements into the hash map, there is a method called put. It's not add, it is put. So map.put of numbers at I comma I, that is going to put the the indexes which we have got. I and numbers at I are the two indices which we are going to place in the map. So, sorry, numbers at I and I are not the indices, they are the keys here, because I was our index, but numbers at I is the element. So we are going to place numbers at I comma I, which are the element at the ith index. Ith index element is going to be placed in map. So that's what we have used here, map.put, and then coming out of the for loop, as you can see here, we are returning the result. So the result, which is basically an integer array of the two indices, is going to be returned by this function. If you want me to execute this entire code, I can do that over here. That would, and in case if you have any questions and doubts, feel free to drop in the comment section. I hope I made the approaches clear as far as possible. And yeah, as you can see here, it's accepted, and your input as well as the output is input is over here, and output which you got and the expected output is correct. So that is what our program is giving. So I hope you have understood how to use a hash map. You can also do it with a hash set. I can actually show it to you using a hash set over here as well. So if you're using hash set, you're just going to replace map with set here. So set integer map. It's going to be just integer here instead of having two integers, because instead of key value pair in set, you're going to just have you're just going to have single integer argument here. So set integer s is equal to new set or a new hash set integer. Then for int I equal to this, numbers, this will remain the same. Now here, instead of a map, replace with set s dot contains key will become a key in hash set, target minus numbers at I, result at 1 equal to I, and result is 0 is equal to map dot, instead of map, you're just going to replace with s, because s is the set name I have given you, the basically the instance, the object name, the set name I have created as s here. So s dot get of target minus numbers that I return result, and instead of putting map dot put, I'm going to put s dot add. Now s dot add of numbers at I comma I. No, sorry, because if this is not a key value pair, you're just going to put the numbers. So you're going to add set dot add of numbers at I, because you're adding the elements into the set, and in that case you are adding the keys, which are nothing but the elements, the numbers, into the map. Now result, return the result. This is what you're going to do in the case of a set. Now let's see what the output will be. Here it says cannot find symbol s dot get. Now let's see what's the error. Debugging is also one important thing which helps us to identify what is the error and learn along the way. So it says symbol method get int variable s of type set. Now it says cannot find symbol s. I think I have not put s somewhere. So set integer is equal to new hash set integer for entire. Okay, if s dot contains of target minus numbers at I, right, then this result at 0 is equal to this method get, so variable s of type integer, and there is no method get target minus numbers at I. All right, so target s dot get. All right, I will just check with one of my hash set question which I had done previously, like what exactly is the error here. Okay, this is again a map I have done. Let's see. So basically, this is some minor things like get, put. These are the main things you have to understand here. So if you understand that, that is going to be the major thing you're going to get. So let's see. This is also a map. If I use to set anywhere, yeah, you can definitely use a set though, with slight variations. All right. Now, one more thing I want to mention to you is that whenever I was talking about the brute force approach in the array, over here I have checked for the equality, nums at I plus nums at j equal to targets. Few people are finding, like even in the map I showed set and in the array, few people have shown that you can place it in that particular index, like nums at 0 is equal to I, the nums at 1, the first index, because there are two indexes in your final answer array which you have to return, 0 and 1. 0 and 1 are the indexes you have to return. So, and obviously they are the two places because there are two elements. The size of your answer array is 2. So instead of doing that, you can also return this way, return new int array. Here only you can create an array instead of first creating the answer array like int ans array equal to new int and then putting the size as 2. Over here itself you can return new int array I comma j. So had it been like in the 3 sum or something, you had to return like instead of 2 elements to be returned, you want to return 3 elements. So you could have also done for doing that, return new int array I comma j comma k if there were 3 variables. So in that way, instead of first only putting the size statically fixing it, you can use this dynamic statement, although it's not actually dynamic for the array because you cannot change the size of the array, but you can what is one of the way of returning the answer. So you can do that, return new int array I comma j. This is going to return the pair of the indexes of the numbers which are going to sum up to the target. And then here I've used throw a new illegal argument exception, no to some solution. In case you are coming out of this and you find that there is no such pair which is going to give us in the, obviously in the question it is given that you are given with a pair that, see it's in the question it's given that given an array of integers and there should be existing two indices which sum up to the target. But in case there is no such thing and you want to return like a default case, if there is no such pair which is going to sum up to the target, then for doing that there's an exception you can throw, and that is for avoiding, basically for this exception handling scenario. In that case you can use throw new illegal argument exception, no to some solution. So that is where this can be done. This is one more way I was about to show you. All right, so coming to the set part, let me just check if I have done any set. Okay, so this is also a map I have done. Map is also map in fact is more dynamic because set will take more time than the map. Always remember, because a hash map is more optimal in terms of the speed as well, in terms of the speed instead of a hash set. Why? Because hash map has key value pairs in it. So if you have a key, you can if you have a particular key, you can check for the existence of its key which is present in the pair in the hash map by doing the key value pair, because every key is mapped to a particular value. So it makes lookup time less, and it makes it more easy for us to search and access elements. Whereas in a hash set, we do not have any key. You can just see here, there is just an integer. So basically there is elements present in the set, but then where are the indexes for us to map? There is no particular index for us to map. So it takes more time for a hash set to access elements and to check criteria than a hash map does. So of course, hash map is more preferable, and I would say that For a beginner, for if you're just looking for approaches to solve and looking for such learning arrays and all, then I would suggest that traversive array. Then start with array, which I was showing you the previous approach. That will tell you how to approach this particular problem. But then, if you are want to optimize this particular problem, then go with a hash map. That is my suggestion. Hash map, as I've shown. This is a hash map. So coming to this hash set, let us just check what is wrong here though. Uh, Map method get int variable s of type set integer. So it says method get is symbol is not found. A get method is not found in the set. So let's check what is it. Let's Google. So is get method, does get method exist for a set, hash set? Let's see this hash set in Java. So hash set, as here it's saying it does not have a get method to retrieve elements. Hash set implements a set interface. So it's a collection with no duplicates. So how exactly? Let's see Stack Overflow. Um, all right. So basically it requires a iterator here to check. And if you want to get something from a hash set, now what is the structure you're going to use? For doing that, you're going to use, so as you can see here, the desired index is given, and finally you're going to return. So basically, let's see, this is a list again. Okay, so list is using a get structure here. List, if you were using a list in that case, then yes, you can use get method there. But what if you're not using a list, so you want a hash set? Let's see if there is hash set. Yes, this is a hash set only. Set GFG they have used here. See, as I told, you are not limited to the data type. You can use any data type. So it initialize a set with any data type. So here the set data type is string, because the set is containing elements of string data type. Welcome to Geeks for Geeks. So that is a string data type. And then for doing that, list string, list is equal to new array list string. So you're going to convert the hash set to array list, and then get method works with a map and a array list, but not with a set. So that is one important note to make up here. So in that our case also, when we had a set there, let us just check string element gfg current index. Okay, so over here we are using two counters, but instead of using two counters, I think a better approach is going to be to, instead of adding elements to the hash set and then determining the desired index by using a loop like current index and desired index, instead of doing that, the current index can be set to I and desired index can be set to target minus nums at I. That can be done there. But then instead of doing that, you can convert the set to a list as well. So yeah, this is one note which I'd like to say, elaborate, that three different ways we can get elements by index in a hash set. I was doing here get for a hash set. It did not work, but for a map it worked. Even for a list it works. So what are the, how is the possibility we can get the particular element for a set? The three ways are using an array, using a for loop, which I've told, for loop like a current index and a desired index, and then running the loop and checking, or using an array and using an or using an array list. Array list means converting this set to an array list. So as you can see here, it will convert to an array here. So if you have this set, GFG is a set here, you're converting it to an array and then accessing that particular element. So to access target minus nums at I, you can do that. So you can do it for the set as well. So how to do that? You're going to set dot to array new string of GFG to size here. So instead of doing new string, you're going to use new integer here, because the array type we have here is integer array type. So new integer and then nums dot size. Let's just make our task simple. So let's check what is going to give us. So let's see. Now we're going to replace string with integer. Then give any name to it. Like you can just give res for now is equal to the set was S over here, as you see. S dot to array, you're converting the set to an array. You can convert to an integer array list also, and the type is integer. And then nums dot gfg dot size means S dot size here. S is the set size. And then yes, so after you do that, you're going over here, we have returned geeks at 3. Now 3 was the desired index we wanted, but here we want the index to be target minus numbers at I. So for doing that, you're going to use, you have stored the all the elements of the set in res. Now you want to return res at target minus numbers at I. This is what you're going to return. Now let's just check what our program is going to return. It says array index out of bounds. Index to out of bounds of a length 1. Um, Index to out of bounds for length 1. So if there is only one length, it says. Okay, so it says result at 1 and then result at 0 is equal to. Okay, okay. So over here, basically, if you converted the set to array, then it has only this. Okay. So basically, you have to first add. Okay, so instead of doing s dot size, you could do nums dot length. In this way, the size of the initial numbers array can be put in the form of the res. Then it says cannot find symbol nums. Okay, it's numbers, it's not nums. You have to be very particular about the names because Java is case sensitive. So cannot invoke java.lang.int value. All right, let's just leave this. I'll try to debug this later and come up with the what is the exact error here. But then the main thing for a problem solving is that there will be errors, there will be compilation errors, problems, but then you have to understand the approach behind it. So I've explained you the approach that first you have to find the particular element in the array, and then you have to check if the target element which is given to you minus the difference between the target element and the element you have, that is going to is that difference is present in the particular hash map in the data structure or not, be in the hash map or an array. If you have some pair existing which is going to sum up to the target, so that particular approach is one, and for doing that you obviously have to take for loop, be it you can see here in a set as well, and even in the map I have used for loop. So in map, I have used a single for loop as well as in a set, and I have used the if condition here. Whereas in the array, I have used two for loops because I had to traverse from I equal to 0 and then j equal to I plus 1. There were two counter variables. But then here, I have used a hash map to determine the same and using one for loop itself. So that is going to reduce the time complexity as we have seen to order of n. So anything, just try your best and then just make sure that the order of the time complexity you get is order of n and nothing more than that, because for your competitive programming and for your interviews, they do not expect you to come up with highly optimal solutions as well. They want to understand your thought process. But the most important, especially for your OAs, that is for your online assessments, is that I have experienced with all my experience with whatever tests I have written, I would like to share that be very particular about the approach, because the approach is what is going to help you. And then once you get a grip over a programming language, understand the approach, try different approaches on your own way, then jump to optimizing problems. And then when I say optimizing, like use hash set, hash map, dynamic programming, you learn I will just explain you later about dynamic programming, then graphs, tries. There are different data structures which optimize our time. So of course, that all can be done later. So, as the first step, you have to understand the approach, and I hope I have made the approach clear to you as to how you have to exactly approach this problem. So, anywhere you will just encounter any problem, be it an iterative or a recursive, come up with thought process. So, if over here we have come up with this iterative problem because we used for loop here. So, you can use if if else and a for loop. So that is where for loop, while loop, this all where you're using a looping statement, that is where you're going to use an iterative solution. But when you want to optimize a solution, you can try using recursive approaches, that is dynamic programming, and that all can be done. So I hope I have made you clear as to what exactly the two sum approach and lead code is expecting out of you. You can of course explore more, check different problems in the platform, and then after checking, the most optimal approaches you will find is the hash map. So that is what you can find here. Also in the tags, you can see hash map is written here. So for a two sum, hash map is what is most recommended. Thank you so much and stay tuned. If you like my explanation and have gained some knowledge, I hope you do. I request you to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned. Thank you.